5 days away from Saturday night's main event. I believe the main event is going to be CM Punk versus Jey Uso. So you know what we do when we have somewhat of a wrestling PLE/pay-per-view. I reach out to you and you reach out to me, not in a weird way. We try and figure out things that WWE could do to ruin it because it makes me laugh. That's how I like to approach my wrestling. If it puts a smile on my face, I'm happy. And that's a great reason to subscribe as well, because we are here to enjoy the madness of sports entertainment. You have sent me some of your thoughts as well. So let's do up our pants and get into it. And we start with number 10, which is LA Knight goes heel. I think this is a conversation we've all been having now, given the stories recently in WWE. It kind of feels like CM Punk, Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso, or LA Knight is going heel. And someone that has come up a lot is LA Knight, because again, he keeps losing and losing and losing. Lost to Bron Breakker on Raw. And my good friend Zach here said, I'll go with a simple one after I asked if LA Knight goes heel. He's been over with the crowd for almost 3 years. And while it may be creative, it will make me sad if he does go bad guy. It's an interesting one because I don't know what else you do with LA Knight. He's kind of on the pathway to nowhere. Now, of course, this can change in a few weeks. It all comes down to the stories and the booking. But I don't really see how he can claim to have a world title shot no matter who does walk away with it this weekend, because Bron Breakker will excuse me. But then again, WWE enjoys doing multi-man matches, so maybe, I'm guessing here, CM Punk wins. Then all of a sudden we fall into CM Punk versus Jey Uso versus LA Knight versus Bron Breakker, which is a variation of what we were doing anyway. We've just replaced Seth Rollins for Bron Breakker. And listen, as long as Bron's in the picture, I think is the main thing, because he is the future, which is now written all over his ass. To me, if the story is good and the turn is good and it makes people react, and again, it puts LA Knight on a different collision course, I think it will be okay, but I also agree that he does have this magic in his hands because, you know, he hasn't sort of finished his story, to use Cody Rhodes' terms, and yet he's still a mega babyface, and he still gets massive pops. He gets some of the biggest pops on the show. Would it ruin Sunday's main event for me? I don't think it would ruin it, but again, it all comes down to execution. It all comes follow-up. If we got to January, I'm just making up dates here, and LA Knight was the champion, because he had gone heel, we live in such a crazy world that more people would be happy for him. If you are an LA Knight fan, even if it meant him staying babyface and not winning the title. I think that made sense. It may have been 2 + 2 = potato. This one's on the precipice for me. I think if you do it wrong, yeah, you're going to screw up LA Knight, which would ruin Saturday night's main event. But if you get it right, it could just be the oomph that he needs. And we all need some oomph. Number 9 is one that I will probably say on each one of these videos, and that's let's not put commercials in the matches again. This absolutely was apparent during Crown Jewel. I've never had that before, and there's plenty of news items rolling around saying that this is a TKO Netflix thing. That yes, even though we pay dozens and dozens of dollars for streaming, we are now not only getting adverts between the matches, which is something else that came in recently, over here at least, but in the matches too. Now, it's going to be very interesting with Saturday night's main event, because the reason that we used to get so many gaps on YouTube is because it was airing on proper TV in America. I don't believe it's airing on proper TV anymore. I think it is exclusive to Peacock. Could be wrong there. But my good man, Wrestle Features, or the site Wrestle Features, whatever you want to call them, literally says commercials during the matches again. And yes, I had that one down even before you weighed in. I mean, it's a difficult one. I understand that commercials pay for certain things, but it sucks and it ruins the show. And I don't like it. And also, man, it just elongates the whole thing to levels that we do not need. I mean, sometimes you get video package advert. And it's been like 45 minutes between matches. Now, as long as the majority don't care, WWE will keep doing this, as they should. It's like ticket prices, like the European tour is coming here soon. I can't remember whether it's Ireland or Scotland. One of the places they are going is £800 for a tiered ticket. That's way too much money. But if people buy those £800 tickets, then it sucks, right? That's how capitalism works. TKO and WWE are well within their rights to go, well, it must be worth more than this because we sold the place out, right? It's when you only get like 75% full, they go, okay, next time we have to lower the ticket price because we weren't able to sell these. I, for one, would not want to, and nor can I afford an £800 ticket that's not sort of super front row, and you're doing like, you know, for a bit of fun, a bit of novelty, a bit of a gimmick. But it's the same thing with the commercials. The only way we can vote is with our mouths and with our remote controls and all of that, but it does ruin these events. There's no two ways about it. I don't know any wrestling fan that is sat there, and let's say we get to the end of, I don't know, what match is happening? I can't even think. Cody Rhodes versus Drew McIntyre. They're like, oh boy, here come the adverts. And they're always weird adverts. What's the deal with that advert for WWE Shop when it has the music like you're watching some kind of old school Egyptian film? It's like, like the mummy is about to burst out of the tomb. It's really weird. Number Number 8 is Dirty Dom, Dominic Mysterio losing his IC title. I jumped to my man Jake here who said Dirty Dom's title reign ending, which is a tongue twister for your mouth. I agree, mostly because I have now convinced myself that one of John Cena's last matches will be against Dominic, and I want that. And I want John Cena to go totally off on Dominic Mysterio and call him Nepo Baby, and I want someone to tell John Cena preferably, you're allowed to say whatever you want because I think Dominic Mysterio would be able to handle it. Even if John Cena gave him a fine speech, I think Dom would be like, dude, I have so much lined up for you. And it's one of those matches I want before the John Cena retirement tour comes to an end. The heel turn is what it was, but I just really want him to face some new faces that weren't called Logan Paul, right? That's my personal preference. You're allowed yours, of course. And Dominic Mysterio was right up there. We have, 3 or 4 appearances left. I think we should do it at the Survivor Series. I doubt John Cena is going to be in War Games, but he may want to. But I think with all his acting commitments, that may be a bit dangerous. Dominic Mysterio, I doubt is going to be in War Games because that would feel like shoving him into something he's not really involved with. So we should do that match, and the IC belt should be on the line because it's going to create so much jeopardy. I wouldn't even mind Dominic Mysterio losing to John Cena because, of course, Cena's never won the IC title, so that would be nice. Also very familiar to what we did with Sting. Sting didn't go out as a world champion. He went out as a tag team champion, and that just kind of added something nice to it, so it could be the same here. I think otherwise, I don't mind the idea of Rusev winning it and then Sheamus winning it from him at WrestleMania because Sheamus deserves that accolade as well. Ironically, the word I would just accolade there, of course I would. Speaking about Rusev, but it just doesn't feel like it's the time. And Dominic Mysterio, is he more over than Penta? Yes, I think he is. Rusev is kind of in not no man's land. Rusev just needs a proper story. I guess he's got one. I don't know. Maybe we need to let Rusev talk more and not go, rah, which is what he did on Raw recently. He's still one of my favorite wrestlers. But Penta is super duper mega over. I just think given where we are with the build and given how Dominic Mysterio is essentially going from heel to babyface right now, I don't think we put the things in place where you're like, oh man, I really want to see this. I think he should hold on to it. I mean, the real issue is coming out of WrestleMania, Dominic Mysterio should have had bigger feuds. Essentially, he started feuding with Penta, and now he's still feuding with Penta. It's been a bit weird. Would it ruin it for Dom to lose it? I think it depends how he loses it. But if John Cena and Dominic Mysterio isn't the cards, and you get rid of the IC title, I just think it's way more fun with the IC title being in there. So yeah, maybe ruin is a little bit harsh, a little bit YouTube title, but I think I'd be in the same car as you. Number 7 is one of my favorites. Obviously, it's distraction, interference, and confusion. WWE went way too far with this on Raw. Let's not copy and paste it for PLEs. Somehow always worse when you do it on pay-per-view. I don't know why. I guess because you expect some stories to come to an end, or at least to get some decisive wins. And my man Uno agrees with me. Uno Cashew, which is very interesting. DIC interference for every single match? Yes. I think it just gets long in the tooth, especially when you do have people that are there to get involved in matches. Like if you're part of a bad guy group, you expect, there's going to be some distractions. But if everybody is doing it, one, it sort of makes it just normal for wrestling, so you can't get mad at it. But two, you can point the finger at Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce and be like, why don't you ever do anything about this? If I know it's going to happen, you should know it's going to happen too. It's also a get-out-of-jail-free card. We want so-and-so to win, but we don't want so-and-so to lose, so we'll just send a bunch of people out there to kind of protect them. Not everybody needs to be protected. What some people need is to lose 1, 2, 3, and then be given promo time on the next Raw or SmackDown so they can get themselves back over again or let them know how they're feeling. Wrestling is all about emotion, right? It's all about moments, as WWE likes to tell us. So as much and as great as it is to win, because obviously you're going to get a certain momentum from the fan base, it's also great to lose, because you can use that. Look up Kenta Kobashi. So yes, I'm always going to agree with this. It's out of control in 2025. We absolutely can dial it back a lot. Let's hope we don't ruin it here. Number 6 is Andrade returning. Now, I think the only reason it would be a shame if Andrade was to return is because it would just make, is mockery the right word? I don't know, but of this contract situation. Now, we're all speculating here. We don't know what's going on, but a few people sent me this. And he went to AEW, he turned up, then all of a sudden we're enforcing his contract, but apparently we weren't enforcing his contract until he turned up in AEW. It's just a mess. Now, I want to make it very clear. I don't know what it says in the small print. I also don't know what Andrade did. So, I'm kind of talking in alleged terms here and going off the information I do have, but nobody should be forced not to work for a year. Again, we don't know if that's true or not true. It's out there in the ether, but we only have one life, and wrestlers have such a short career, or they can do, given injuries and pain and hurt. I'm not into that at all. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel cool. But then again, if all of a sudden it came out, well, Andrade did this to be fired from WWE, that may change your mental idea on it, but I don't know what that is. So I'm just looking at it for what I do have. It feels most unfair. It doesn't feel cool, and it sort of feels like something we should get away from, especially with the whole independent contractor thing. So I think Andrade turning up here may ruin it in the sense people would have a meltdown, but he absolutely would be the modern day Lex Luger. Just comes and goes, comes and goes, comes and goes. Or Rick Rude. I don't think it would ruin it necessarily, because I'd be so intrigued, but I don't want it to happen. We don't need to do it. Let's just get Andrade. If he wants to come back to WWE, great. But let's just get him back into a position where he can make his living and have great matches, because he's a great wrestler. It would probably steal the spotlight from a lot of it, and ultimately we don't want to do that. Number 5 is an interesting one, because we go back to the heel turns, and it's Jimmy Uso turning on Jey Uso, although you could also say Jey Uso turning on Jimmy. But it comes from my man Booking Like you've been cut off on this picture for some reason, because they said it would break my heart to see Jimmy cost Jey his World Heavyweight Championship match. We've seen that before, and I don't want to just repeat that storyline leading to another WrestleMania match between them. Given the timelines, it probably would. Plus, if they put the belt on CM Punk, it should be a clean finish. I'm quite high on clean finishes for this show. I think if you're going to crown some new champions, let's make them champions. Not necessarily Jade Cargill. She's just gone heel. She can cheat. That's totally fine. How do I feel about Jimmy turning on Jey? I know what you mean, but there's also going to be a bee in their bonnet, given how much people hated that WrestleMania 40 match, I believe it was. And I'm sure they know they can do better. And listen, I love the Usos. I think they're incredibly entertaining. Their backstage segments make me laugh out loud in a good way. You know, I just want to enjoy what I am watching on TV. And also, we have teased very heavily that one of them could be turning heel. Jimmy Uso is going to get involved in this match, or at least be a feature in it to some degree. I think this to me is an LA Knight situation. And it would ruin it in a good way, I think. It would break your heart if Jimmy Uso did this to Jey Uso. But also, yes, we kind of did that feud. It didn't click in the way that some people expected. A lot of people didn't like that WrestleMania match. Do you do a do-over? Do you not do a do-over? I'm going to use the word again. It comes down to execution. What can we do to make this want you to tune into Raw and ensure that anything we do between the Usos is interesting? Again, War Games is around the corner. Does it make War Games better if one Uso is on the left side and one Uso is on the right side? I don't know. Somebody is going heel. I said that on my predictions video. Make sure you check that out too. Do I actually think it's Jimmy Uso? I mean, he is talking nonsense when it comes to that Battle Royal. But Jey Uso is still so over. But again, just because somebody is so over, someone's got to go heel, right? Because you just lost your top heel as well. And if Bron Breakker's not going to be moved into that world heavyweight position. Ruin, I don't know. Again, I'm kind of just walking on the same Groundhog Day here. I think WWE would have to do it very well. And I think it would have to trigger chat that could take you throughout the entire week. I don't know. I've got to sit on this one. But I think it could be controversial. Ultimately, I don't think it's going to happen. Number 4 is one that I think is going to come up a lot as well, and that's Brock Lesnar getting involved in the main event, if Punk versus Jey is the main event. The good, the bad, and the something. Let's hope it's not insulting. Said Brock Lesnar appearing at all. He kills all joy in wrestling for me, which I kind of get. There's a big discourse on the internet right now. I kind of do lean into the same way people are thinking. I don't get excited to see Brock Lesnar matches in 2025 because they're exactly the same. And you can kind of say that for anybody. You've got to update your act. I don't think he does. I don't think he appears enough. I'm terrified about him winning a world championship because he will not be on TV regular enough. And that was the problem sort of 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. I don't want to get involved in main event for 2 reasons. One, I don't want anyone to win like that. And I presume if he does get involved, it's because we're not going to crown a champion. And we'll talk about that later. But I also think if he does get involved, he's probably going to be the brand new leader of the division. I think that would suck. Why would Bron Breakker kill Seth Rollins and Bronson Reed join in just to be led by somebody else? I mean, it's redundant storytelling. You don't have to put somebody into the shoes because the shoes have just then vanished. So no, I don't want to see Brock Lesnar on the show. I don't want to see Brock Lesnar until the Royal Rumble. If you want to treat him as a special appearance kind of a guy, that's totally fine. He just doesn't do it for me anymore. In the same way, nobody else would either if you didn't update your stuff. And he hasn't updated his stuff. I hated that John Cena match. Again, if you liked it, good for you. But I felt like I'd seen it before. I don't think it did anything for John Cena. And it kind of left me feeling sad. I don't watch wrestling to feel sad. Number 3 is no legitimate champions, which kind of does touch on something we've talked about, but it comes from Mike. Because he said, I just like something original for a change. Perhaps say Drew and Punk winning championships with no shenanigans, no run-ins, no distractions, no controversy. Have them as a legitimate champion, it would make a change. Now, there is something to this. I think CM Punk has a greater chance of that than Drew McIntyre. If Drew McIntyre did win, I think WWE sees Cody Rhodes as their top babyface, and therefore they'll try and protect him. They've done that since the Hulk Hogan days, probably before that as well. I would like it, yes, because I think Drew McIntyre gets to come out on Raw and say, I beat him, I told you I'd beat him, which is awesome. The problem with CM Punk versus Jey Uso is I think it's just asking for run-ins and shenanigans. Not saying that I want that, not saying I don't want that. Just with the build and everybody that is circling around this, I think it comes down to logic of the narratives that we've been told too. Why wouldn't the Usos be there, especially Jey? He's in the match. Why wouldn't LA Knight be there? Why wouldn't Bron Breakker be there? Why wouldn't Paul Heyman be there? Why wouldn't Bronson Reed be there? They've all made it very clear their goal is the World Heavyweight Championship, and they're not exactly babyface in the traditional sense. Again, it's all about the stories, because you could say WrestleMania 41 wouldn't have been as good, or what you wanted no shenanigans. And of course, it was the Paul Heyman show, but that worked. And sadly, Seth Rollins is now injured. But it really did make that triple threat match more interesting. You can do that here, like WrestleMania 40 Night 2 main event, the most shenanigan thing ever. But I loved it. It worked. So you don't know until we see it. I think the reason I don't think it will ruin the show is just because my expectations are through the roof that I am going to get it, right? So if I decide to have pizza and I have pizza, I'm like, woohoo, pizza. But if all of a sudden hot dogs, I'm going to be confused. I don't think I'm getting hot dogs. I definitely think I'm getting pizza. But it would make it better. I'll tell you that. I'll spin the thing. If we did actually walk away with Drew McIntyre just beating Cody and CM Punk just beating Jay, it's like you said, Mike, it does make it more original, because for better or worse, what WWE does like to fall back on is distractions, interference, and confusion. That's why I have a counter over on my ups and downs reviews I freelance for What Culture. That's how out of control it is. I count them. Number 2 is Drew McIntyre losing. Now I'm going to go straight to the words here from Mysterious, who says for Drew to lose another championship match or to win it for another 5 minutes. So yeah, he doesn't hold on to the belt. It's such an interesting match for this reason. I think the jeopardy being created is more from us nerds and us geeks. If Drew McIntyre doesn't win here, and I think Jacob Fatu could return as well, given that I don't think his issue was as bad as some people made out, he cannot be in the World Championship picture for a long time. Could Randy Orton be there? Could that sort of trigger the Cody Rhodes-Randy Orton feud? Potentially. I predicted that just because it's fun to make bold predictions. Whether it ruins the show, I don't know. But I'm also confused as to why you go back to Drew versus Cody. And I get that, well, Jacob's injured, we've got to do something. Yeah, sure. But unless you have plans for Drew McIntyre to win the title, he didn't need to be in this. You could have put a third person in there. You just didn't have to do the match. You could have booked something else. It just once again, it all depends on what there is for Drew McIntyre after this. This is never going to happen, right? If Drew McIntyre lost and then by WrestleMania he's feuding with The Rock, nobody's going to care. People are like, oh my gosh, the final boss versus Drew. That's great for Drew McIntyre's career. But I'm not sure we have anything as seismic as that. So does that mean he just tumbles back down the card? Because you can't keep going after the World Championship and losing and staying in that picture. I mean, it is a heel, so maybe, but I think the fans and the connection you have with the audience would eventually taper off. So I think there is a world where it does ruin Saturday night's main event. But listen, do I think Cody Rhodes is going to lose the belt on SNME? I mean, WWE should do something like that, because the next time it does roll around, you're going to be more interested in the event. Listen, I love Cody Rhodes. If he wants to hold that championship forever, that's fine by me. I love a good old-fashioned babyface that people actually like. But Drew McIntyre, in many ways, also an old-fashioned heel, and the only way to keep your heat is by, living up to the things that you want to do, even if you do it by terrible means. So there is a chance. I think it'll be a hindsight thing. I don't think it would ruin it on the night, because I think most of us assume that Cody was going to win. But if you get to February, March, April, and Drew's not in a good place, then yeah, you are going to look at this and go, what a pile of baloney. And we have a number 1. I totally agree with this, as does my man Mugash, who says, if the World Championship match does not end with a definitive winner, I don't know about y'all, but I prefer finality. Dude, I am so with you. Even if we have to have run-in and craziness, 1-2 oohs, and people putting feet on the rope and the rest being turned around and potential DQs, but no, I want CM Punk to be Jey Uso, or Jey Uso to be the World Champion on Raw. In this world that we're talking about, don't care if it's Punk, don't care if it's Uso, just give it to whoever you want. Be brave, make a decision. Want to turn someone heel, fine. Want to turn CM Punk heel, fine. Give it a go. If it doesn't work, you can always retroactively change it. I don't want some weird vacant world. The reason I am so worried about that is because Survivor Series is so close, and you can not have a World Championship match on there because they'll all be involved in the War Games. But I don't want a vacant belt. I don't want a belt not being there. That was never the plan with Seth Rollins. I still think Bron Breakker should have won this. Like, why stand on ceremony, Mr. Wayne? But just pick someone. Let's take wrestling back down to its simplest form. You're going to win, you're going to lose, you're going to be the champion, and you're not. Some fans will like it, some fans won't. And you send that person out on Raw to cut a promo, and you kind of justify everything you did do, and you underline the direction we're headed in. I totally agree. That's why I put it at number 1. That's not what I want. We've sold Saturday night's main event that we're getting a brand new World Heavyweight Champion, so just give it to us, right? We're simple folk sometimes. That's all we need. I do think it would ruin it. I think you'd be like, oh, man, why can we never just take a risk, I suppose, even though it's not a risk, because, again, that's what's been booked and that's what's been promoted. But I certainly would moan about it online, right? Wouldn't do anything else. That's what we do. I can't believe we've done this. Then I would get over it, because wrestling is the most important, the least important things. But yes, I think decision-making on this show is massively important, which is why, even though I think that Jey could become the champ, Drew could become the champ, and again, we have to have a new champ here, you're not going to change 3 titles on Saturday night's main event. But then my other part of my brain goes, well, why not? Once again, let's take a risk. That's not what WWE is going to do. But yes, either way, I'm with you, dude. Pick one. It doesn't actually matter. Picking one of them is better than picking no one. Seems to stand to reason for me. Now listen, listen, you're going to have a bunch of thoughts on that too, so please drop me a comment below and let me know what you think. Maybe you can come up with a great idea as to why we should have the belt held up, whatever the right term would be. When you are down there, please do like the video, share the video, subscribe, hit the notification bell, especially if you're on mobile. Otherwise, it's grillamine.com/Simon. You go to Simon, get 10% off and more. Best fitness supplements, ship worldwide. I wouldn't promote them if I didn't mean it. Same with nordvpn.com/Simon Miller. Go get yourself a deal, and maybe you can watch wrestling whatever the hell you want in the world and save yourself some money. Patreon.com/Simon316. Joy watch-alongs and other stuff like that. You can support the channel too. Simon316 on all social media. Dumb promo videos on TikTok. Finally getting an audience over there, so please do check them out. Personties.com/Simon316. And cameos, search for my name if you want me to say happy birthday or whatever. Appreciate you, my friends. Enjoy the rest of the week. Enjoy Saturday night's main event, because why the flub not? I'll see you soon.